You are on crazy HOA moments. She tried to turn neighbors into witnesses against me. I am not joking, Denise yelled, stepping out of her golf cart with a clipboard raised like a shield. You are not allowed to accept misdelivered packages without reporting to me first. She jabbed a finger at the padded mailer in my hands, the one with my name on it, delivered to my porch 10 minutes ago. The seams were already ripped when I picked it up. I stared at her. This is my package, I said. My name is right here. She shook her head hard, her dark blonde bob swinging. Rules are rules. If a package is damaged, you report it to the HOA office before opening it. I decide what evidence is allowed. Her voice was sharp, clipped, like she was reading me my rights. I felt my jaw tighten. I live here. I work as a security guard. I know what mail theft looks like, and this is not it. But Denise Porter, Finance Committee Chair of the Brookstone Village HOA, did not care. She was already pulling out her phone, aiming the camera at me like I was a suspect. I am documenting this, she said. You touched that package before I could verify its origin. That is a violation. I took a breath. This started because I reported a different missing package to the management office 3 days ago. A book I ordered never showed up. I filed a simple inquiry, thinking maybe it got left at the wrong unit. Denise treated it like I accused her personally. She demanded I fill out a formal complaint form, then changed the form twice, then told me I needed to provide proof I even ordered the book. I showed her the email receipt. She said the email could be faked. I showed her my credit card statement. She said that was not acceptable without a notarized affidavit. I walked away before I said something I would regret. Then this morning, the ripped mailer showed up on my porch. I opened my door, saw it sitting there, picked it up. My name was on the label, but the contents were gone, just torn bubble wrap and shredded cardboard. I was about to toss it in recycling when Denise rolled up in her golf cart, that amber light blinking like she was dispatch. Now she was circling me, phone raised, narrating for her video. Subject refuses to cooperate with HOA investigation. Evidence mishandling confirmed. I held up the mailer. Denise, this is mine. It was delivered to my address. She cut me off. The item was found near your home, so you must be guilty. Her voice was flat, rehearsed. I have witnesses who saw you tampering with mail. I froze. What witnesses? She did not answer. She tapped her clipboard. Daily fines start tomorrow unless you admit what you did. $50 a day until you comply. I felt my chest go tight. My ability to receive deliveries was suddenly at risk because she was interfering with my packages, twisting a simple missing item report into some kind of sting operation. I need to see these witnesses, I said. She smiled, thin and cold. You will see them at the hearing. But the fines start now. Rules are rules. I stepped back inside and closed the door. My hands were shaking. I pulled out my phone and called the management office. A woman named Lisa answered. I explained what just happened. She sighed. Denise filed a theft complaint this morning. She says you have been stealing packages and reselling them. I almost dropped the phone. That is insane. I reported one missing package. Now she is accusing me of running some kind of mail theft ring? Lisa hesitated. She submitted a formal notice. There is a hearing scheduled for today at 4. You have 3 hours. If you do not show up, the fines go into effect automatically, and we suspend your parking access pending investigation. I felt my stomach drop. A hearing notice being used as a bluff, and the deadline was today. I asked Lisa if she believed any of this. She lowered her voice. Between us, Denise has done this before. She targets people who complain. But I cannot say that on the record. You need to bring proof. I hung up and opened my laptop. I pulled up my Doorbell camera app. The footage from this morning showed the mailer being delivered at 6:43. The delivery driver set it on the mat, intact, then walked away. At 7:10, a figure in a tan blazer and a black visor approached my porch. Denise. She picked up the mailer, looked around, then ripped it open right there on my steps. She pulled out a small box, tucked it under her clipboard, and dropped the torn mailer back on the mat. Then she walked away. I replayed it 3 times to make sure I was seeing it right. She stole my package. Then she came back an hour later to accuse me of stealing it. I saved the clip to my phone and started making a plan. I grabbed my blue beanie, my manila folder stuffed with printed emails and receipts, and headed out. The mailbox cluster was 2 blocks away, a covered pavilion with 40 locked boxes under a peaked roof. I walked there, scanning the area. A few neighbors were checking mail. I did not recognize most of them, but one older man in a Marlins cap gave me a nod. I nodded back. Denise was already there, standing beside the cluster with her clipboard and her golf cart idling nearby, amber light still blinking. She saw me and straightened up, pulling out a handheld radio. "This is Porter," she said into the radio, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Subject is on site, proceeding with secondary inspection." There was no one on the other end. It was pure theater. She clipped the radio to her belt and walked toward me. "You are not supposed to be here," she said. "Your access is under review." I held up my phone. "I have footage of you stealing my package this morning." She did not flinch. She smiled. "That footage is inadmissible. Your doorbell camera angle is illegal. It captures the sidewalk, which is HOA common area. You are required to delete it immediately or face additional violations." I felt heat rise in my chest. "The sidewalk is public." She shook her head. "Not in Brookstone Village. All walkways are private HOA property. I decide what evidence is allowed." There it was again, her boomerang line. "I decide what evidence is allowed." She said it like a judge. I looked around. 3 neighbors were watching now. Phones out, good. Let them see this. Denise pulled a small flashlight from her blazer pocket and aimed it at my phone screen, the beam washing out the display. I could not see the footage anymore. She leaned in. "You are harassing me. I am filing a counter-complaint right now." She started recording me again with her other hand, performing for her own camera. Subject is attempting to intimidate HOA leadership with fabricated evidence. She turned to the neighbors. "I need you all to witness this. He is threatening me." One of the neighbors, a woman in a blue sundress, frowned. "He is just standing there." Denise ignored her. She pointed at me. "You have 2 hours until the hearing. If you show up with that illegal footage, I will have you removed from the property. Trespassing charges will follow." Then she got back in her golf cart and drove away, the amber light blinking as she disappeared around a corner. I stood there, my pulse hammering. The woman in the sundress walked over. "I am Monica," she said quietly. "She did this to me last year, accused me of stealing pool towels. I did not take anything. She made my life hell for 2 months until I moved units." I looked at her. "Did you fight it?" She shook her head. "I did not have proof. But you do. Use it." She walked away before I could say thank you. I checked the time. 1 hour and 40 minutes until the hearing. I needed more than doorbell footage. I needed something Denise could not talk her way out of. I drove to the management office, a single-story stucco building at the front of the neighborhood with a faded Brookstone Village sign and a row of visitor parking spots. Inside, Lisa was at the front desk. I set my folder down. I need to request the HOA financial records for the past 6 months. She blinked. "That requires a formal request in writing and board approval. I do not have time for that. The hearing is in 90 minutes. She glanced at her computer screen, then at the door. "If you file a records request right now, I can process it as urgent, but it will take at least 24 hours. I leaned in. "Lisa, you said Denise has done this before. If she is stealing, there will be a trail." Lisa bit her lip. She looked at the door again, then back at me. "The portal. If you log in as a resident, you can see your own account history. But if someone edited the records, it might show an admin log." I did not say that. She turned her monitor slightly toward me. I pulled out my phone and opened the resident portal. I logged in, navigated to my account, then clicked the activity log. The most recent entry was from this morning. Complaint filed by D. Porter, finance chair. I clicked the details. The timestamp said 6:15 before the package was even delivered. I scrolled further. There were 3 other entries from the past week, all admin edits. One changed the delivery date on a previous package I reported missing. Another added a note that said repeated violations. The 3rd entry was a manual fee adjustment, $50 added to my account with the note non-compliance penalty. I took a screenshot, then another, then I clicked through to the financial summary. There were 6 other residents listed with similar admin edits, all from the past 3 months, all tagged by D. Porter. I looked at Lisa. She was staring at her keyboard, pretending she did not see. I mouthed thank you. She gave the tiniest nod. I walked out of the office and sat in my car. I had the doorbell clip. I had the portal audit log. I needed one more thing. I called the delivery company. After 2 transfers, I got a driver supervisor named Eric. I explained the situation. He pulled up the delivery record. Yeah, we delivered that package at 6:43 this morning. Driver said it was intact when he left it. If someone tampered with it after that, it is not on us. I asked if he could confirm that on speaker at the hearing. He paused. I cannot leave my route, but I can send you an email confirmation with the GPS timestamp and driver notes. That work? I said yes. He sent it 30 seconds later. I checked the time. 40 minutes. I drove back to my place and printed everything. Doorbell screenshots, portal audit log screenshots, delivery confirmation email. I added the torn mailer as physical evidence, sealed in a plastic bag. Then I put it all in my manila folder and headed to the management office. The hearing was being held in the small conference room off the lobby, a windowless box with a folding table and 8 chairs. When I walked in, Denise was already seated at the head of the table, her clipboard in front of her, a rolling file cart beside her chair stacked with binders. She looked like she was preparing for trial. 2 other board members were there, both older men in polo shirts. One looked bored. The other looked uncomfortable. Lisa stood in the corner, arms crossed, clearly forced to be there as a witness. Denise started without introduction. We are here to address multiple violations by the resident in Unit 217. Theft of HOA property, mail tampering, harassment of leadership, and refusal to comply with records requests. She opened a binder and pulled out a printed photo. This image shows the subject in possession of a damaged package on HOA grounds this morning. He refused to turn over the evidence for inspection. I sat down across from her. That package was mine. It was delivered to my porch. I have proof. She cut me off. Your so-called proof is inadmissible. I already explained that your camera setup violates HOA policy. She turned to the 2 board members. I am recommending immediate suspension of parking and mail privileges pending a full investigation. Daily fines of $50 until compliance is achieved. The board member shrugged. Sounds fine. The uncomfortable one shifted in his seat. Can we see his evidence first? Denise shot him a look. The evidence is tainted. He has been coached by outside parties. I stood up. I have not been coached by anyone. I have doorbell footage, delivery confirmation, and a portal audit log that shows you edited my account records before the package was even delivered. I pulled out the folder and set the screenshots on the table. Denise grabbed them before anyone else could look. These are forgeries, she said. Anyone can fake a screenshot. She turned to Lisa. Did you authorize him to access the portal? Lisa hesitated, then nodded. He is a resident. He is allowed to view his own account. Denise slammed her hand on the table. That is a breach of protocol. I am filing a complaint against you as well. Lisa went pale. The uncomfortable board member cleared his throat. Denise, maybe we should look at the footage. She stood up, pulling out her phone. I have my own evidence. She tapped her screen and held it up. The video showed me standing on my porch this morning, holding the mailer. She narrated over it. Subject tampering with evidence. Refusal to cooperate. Clear guilt. The board member squinted at the screen. That just shows him holding his own package. She pulled the phone back. You are not qualified to interpret evidence. I am the finance chair. I have been trained in investigative procedures. The board member yawned. Can we just vote and move on? I have a tea time at 5. I took a breath. I am calling a witness. I pulled out my phone, dialed the delivery company, and put it on speaker. Eric answered. This is Eric, driver supervisor. I identified myself and asked him to confirm the delivery details. He did, reading off the timestamp, the GPS coordinates, the driver notes. Package delivered intact at 6:43. No damage reported. Driver confirmed signature-free drop at resident request. If tampering occurred, it happened after delivery. I looked at Denise. She was staring at the phone, her face tight. The uncomfortable board member leaned forward. So the package was fine when it was delivered. That means someone tampered with it after. Denise, do you have any evidence it was him? Denise pointed at me. His camera angle is illegal. I decide what evidence is allowed. But now her voice was rising, cracking at the edges. She pulled out her handheld radio again. I need security to respond to the management office. We have a hostile subject refusing to comply. She pressed the button. Static. No response. She pressed it again. Nothing. The board member laughed. Denise, that thing does not even work. She ignored him. She turned to Lisa. I need you to confirm that he harassed you into giving him access to the portal. Lisa shook her head slowly. I did not give him anything he was not entitled to. He logged in himself. Denise stepped toward her. You are lying to protect him. I will have you terminated. The uncomfortable board member stood up. Denise, that is enough. Sit down. She whirled on him. You do not give me orders. I am the finance chair. I have authority over all compliance matters. He shook his head. You have authority over the budget, not over people. Now sit down or I am calling this hearing off. She did not sit. She grabbed her rolling file cart and pulled out a thick binder. I have documentation of every violation he has committed in the past 6 months. She opened it and started flipping pages. Improper parking. Unapproved exterior modifications. Failure to attend community meetings. The uncomfortable board member took the binder from her hands. These are all dated after his complaint about the missing package. She tried to grab it back. That is irrelevant. He broke the rules. Rules are rules. The board member looked at me. Do you have the doorbell footage? I nodded and pulled it up on my phone. He watched it twice. Denise stood behind him trying to block the screen with her hand. He pushed her hand away. Denise, this shows you taking the package. She laughed, sharp and brittle. That is doctored. You cannot trust digital evidence. The board member finally looked interested. Wait, she is on the video? Let me see. I handed him my phone. He watched it, his eyebrows going up. Oh, this is bad. He looked at Denise. You are stealing packages? She shook her head fast, too fast. I was inspecting it. That is my job. He frowned. Your job is finance, not mail inspection. She tried to take my phone. I need to confiscate that device. It contains forged material. The uncomfortable board member blocked her. Denise, I am recommending we suspend this hearing and open an internal investigation into your conduct. She stepped back, her face red. You cannot do that. I have not been formally accused. He pointed at the phone. You are on video taking his package. That is theft. She tried a different angle. He set me up. He left that package there as bait. I was conducting a sting operation. The board member laughed again. A sting operation on a resident? That is insane. The uncomfortable board member pulled out his own phone and started typing. I am emailing the property manager and our attorney. This needs to be escalated. Denise grabbed her clipboard and held it up like a shield. I demand a formal vote. You cannot remove me without a vote. The uncomfortable board member did not look up from his phone. We are not removing you. We are suspending you pending investigation. That does not require a vote. Denise looked around the room, wild now. She pointed at me. He is the thief. He has been stealing from the clubhouse, missing petty cash, supplies. I have witnesses. The board member stopped typing and looked at her. Where are these witnesses? She hesitated. They are coming. The board member shook his head. No, they are not. Sit down, Denise. She did not sit. She turned and walked out of the room, her heels clicking fast on the tile. The rolling file cart stayed behind, one wheel stuck on the edge of the table. The uncomfortable board member sighed. I am sorry you had to deal with this. We will issue a formal retraction of the complaint and waive any fees. I nodded, still holding my phone. The board member looked at me. You should file a police report. If she is stealing packages, she is probably stealing other stuff too. I said I would. Lisa stepped forward from the corner. There is more. I have been tracking missing petty cash for 3 months. Every time I reported it, Denise said it was an accounting error, but I have the logs. It adds up to about $2,000. The uncomfortable board member closed his eyes. Forward that to me and the attorney. We need to do a full audit. I walked out of the conference room into the lobby. My legs felt shaky, adrenaline still buzzing under my skin. I sat down on one of the plastic chairs near the window and watched the parking lot. Denise was loading her file cart into the back of her SUV, slamming the hatch closed. She got in, started the engine, and drove off fast. I pulled out my phone and called the non-emergency line for the Orange County Sheriff. I explained the situation and sent them the doorbell footage. The deputy I spoke to said they would open a case and follow up within 48 hours. I hung up and sat there for a minute, letting it sink in. 3 hours ago, I was facing daily fines and a formal accusation of theft. Now Denise was under investigation and I had a case number. 2 days later, I got a call from the property manager, a woman named Sandra I had never spoken to before. She apologized for what happened and said the board had voted unanimously to remove Denise from her position. They also discovered she had been using HOA funds to pay for personal expenses, including the golf cart she drove around the neighborhood. The cart was technically HOA property, but she had been treating it like her own. Sandra said they were pursuing civil recovery and cooperating with the sheriff's investigation. She also said the board was implementing a new policy requiring dual authorization for any compliance action, so no single board member could target a resident without oversight. I thanked her and hung up. The following week, I ran into Monica, the woman who warned me at the mailbox cluster. She was walking her dog near my building. She smiled when she saw me. I heard what happened. Good for you. I asked if she ever got an apology for what Denise did to her. She shook her head. But I did get a call from Sandra saying they were reviewing old complaints. Maybe they will find something. I hope so. She walked on, and I stood there for a moment, thinking about how many other people Denise had targeted over the years, how many had just walked away because they did not have proof, how many had paid fines they did not owe because fighting it felt impossible. A week after that, I got a letter from the HOA attorney. It was a formal apology and a credit to my account for $300, covering the invalid fine and my time. The letter also said Denise Porter was no longer affiliated with Brookstone Village HOA and was barred from attending board meetings or accessing HOA property. I kept the letter in my folder, the same manila folder I brought to the hearing, now a little less bulging but still thick with printed evidence. I kept the torn mailer too, sealed in its plastic bag, a reminder that sometimes the smallest piece of trash can be the thing that proves you are right. The sheriff's investigation took another month. They confirmed that Denise had stolen at least 12 packages over 6 months, plus the petty cash from the clubhouse office. She was charged with multiple counts of theft and misuse of HOA funds. The case did not go to trial. She took a plea deal and agreed to pay restitution. I got a check for $85, the declared value of the book that was in the mailer she ripped open. It felt like a small victory, but a victory all the same. The HOA installed new security cameras at the mailbox cluster and added tamper-evident seals to the clubhouse storage closet. The board also passed a rule requiring all compliance complaints to include photographic evidence and third-party verification before any fines could be issued. It was not perfect, but it was better. I still live in Brookstone Village. The new finance chair is a retired accountant named Greg who sends monthly budget summaries and actually answers emails. The golf cart with the blinking amber light is still around, but now it is used by the actual security patrol, a private company the HOA contracted after the Denise incident. I see it roll past my window sometimes, the light blinking in the dusk, and it does not make my chest tighten anymore. It is just a cart. If you enjoyed this story, hit the like button and subscribe for more wild HOA tales and satisfying revenge you will not believe. A few months later, I was at the mailbox cluster again, checking my mail on a quiet Saturday morning. A younger guy I did not recognize was fumbling with his key, cursing under his breath. His box was jammed. I walked over and showed him the trick, a little upward pressure while you turn the key. It popped open. He thanked me and pulled out a stack of envelopes. One of them was a notice from the HOA, the same template I had seen a dozen times. He groaned. What now? I glanced at it. It was a reminder about the annual meeting. Nothing serious. I told him it was just a standard notice, not a violation. He relaxed. Man, I was worried. I have heard stories about the old finance chair. I heard she was insane. I nodded. She was. But she is gone now. He looked at me. Curious. You are the guy, right? The one who took her down? I shrugged. I just had proof. He grinned. That is awesome. Seriously. I have been here 6 months and I was about to move because of the horror stories, but it seems better now. I told him it was. He walked away, and I stood there for a moment looking at the covered pavilion, the neat rows of locked boxes, the bright Florida sun cutting through the gaps in the roof. I thought about the doorbell clip, the one that started everything, the timestamp strip, the grainy image of Denise bending over my porch, the moment she ripped open the mailer and tucked the box under her clipboard. I thought about how close I came to just letting it go, paying the fine, accepting the suspension, moving on. I thought about the portal, the audit log that proved she had been editing records, planting violations, building cases against people who dared to complain. A key log review that proved only leadership had access. That was the phrase Sandra used in her email, the one that confirmed what I already suspected. Denise had been the only one with admin access to the financial portal. Every fake fee, every backdated entry, every fabricated violation, it all traced back to her login. The HOA issued a policy clarification that blocked her favorite tactic, the one where she used vague compliance language to threaten anyone who questioned her. Now, every violation notice had to cite a specific rule number and include photographic evidence. No more I decide what evidence is allowed. No more moving goalposts. No more daily fines that started tomorrow unless you admitted something you did not do. The new policy was not perfect, but it was a start. It meant the next person who got targeted would have a fighting chance. I thought about Karen claiming she had witnesses, and the witness saying actually no. That moment in the conference room when Monica, the woman I barely knew, stood up and said she had been targeted too. That moment when the uncomfortable board member finally pushed back and said, "Sit down or I am calling this hearing off." That moment when Denise grabbed her file cart and tried to drag it out of the room like she was fleeing a crime scene, and the wheel got stuck and papers started spilling out onto the floor and no one helped her pick them up. That moment when she tried to use a compliance stamp like a judge, slamming it down on the table for emphasis, and the stamp fell apart in her hands, the rubber pad separating from the wooden handle, ink smearing across her clipboard. She stood there staring at the broken pieces, and the board member laughed, and she just walked out. That was the funny karma beat. That was the moment I knew it was over. Karen stormed out when the room turned against her. That was the consequence. She did not resign. She did not apologize. She just left, and the board voted her out in absentia the next day. She tried to appeal, claiming she was denied due process, but the attorney shut it down. The evidence was overwhelming. The doorbell footage, the portal audit log, the missing petty cash, the stolen packages, the fabricated violations, the harassment, the retaliation. It was not a close call. It was a massacre. I kept the manila folder. I kept the plastic bag with the torn mailer. I kept the screenshots, the emails, the delivery confirmation, the letter from the attorney. I kept all of it in a box under my bed, just in case. Just in case someone else tried to pull the same thing. Just in case the next finance chair decided to get creative. Just in case I needed to prove one more time that I was right. But I do not think I will need it. The new board is careful. The new rules are clear. The new cameras are working. The new security patrol actually responds when you call. Brookstone Village is not perfect, but it is better. And that is enough. I walked back to my place, the morning sun warm on my shoulders, the manila folder tucked under my arm. I thought about Denise wherever she was now, dealing with the restitution payments and the criminal record, and the fact that everyone in the neighborhood knew what she did. I thought about the moment she pointed her flashlight at my phone, trying to wash out the doorbell clip, trying to make the evidence disappear. I thought about how she said I decide what evidence is allowed, and how that line came back to destroy her. Because in the end, the evidence decided. The timestamps decided. The audit log decided. The witnesses decided. The board decided. And she had no say in it at all. I unlocked my door, stepped inside, and set the folder on the kitchen counter. My phone buzzed. A text from Lisa, the management office assistant. "The new board wants to thank you personally at the next meeting. You do not have to come, but they wanted to extend the invitation." I texted back a thumbs up. I might go. I might not. It did not matter. I had already won. I made coffee and sat on my couch, looking out the window at the identical roof lines, the identical driveways, the identical mailboxes. Brookstone Village, Orlando, Florida. A place where rules mattered, where compliance was everything, where one person with a clipboard and a grudge could make your life a nightmare. Until they could not. Until someone pushed back. Until the evidence spoke louder than the threats. I took a sip of coffee and thought about the next person who would move in. The next person who would get a violation notice. The next person who would stand at the mailbox cluster and wonder if fighting back was worth it. I hoped they would. I hoped they would keep their receipts, check their cameras, save their emails, and refuse to be intimidated. I hoped they would remember that the rules cut both ways, and that the people who wield them the hardest are usually the ones breaking them the most. I finished my coffee and went back outside. The golf cart rolled past, the amber light blinking, the security guard giving me a wave. I waved back. It was just another Saturday in Brookstone Village, just another morning in the HOA. Just another day where the packages got delivered, the mail got sorted, and no one tried to steal your stuff and frame you for it. And that, honestly, was all I ever wanted. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.